Hello everybody, and welcome to another episode of Come Back Stronger, where we bring you stories from North Florida about people who have faced adversity and who have come back stronger. And we're talking about people that have suffered through challenges and then have learned from their challenges, have grown from their challenges, and have given back to the community. And my name is Jimmy Fasig. I'm a personal injury lawyer with Fasig Brooks Law Offices, and I'm here with my law partner, Kimmy Hogan.
Hey y'all.
Welcome, Kimmy.
Thank you.
And today we are going to present to you, introduce you to Brie Rogers. And Brie has a fascinating comeback story. I am so excited for you to hear her story, because when you see what she's done with the pain that she experienced, you're going to be absolutely fascinated. Kimmy, what do you think about Brie Rogers?
Oh, she's awesome.
Yeah.
So Brie, unfortunately, went through an event where she was sexually assaulted in public, and nobody did anything to help her. And so she thought to herself, how do I help other people not go through this? How do I protect myself if this happens again? And so she came up with what she calls street legal safety devices, predominantly keychains that have whistles and what's that called?
Mace,
yes. And all sorts of other things.
Yes.
Really neat. So she's not only helping herself, but she's helping others if they're ever in that unfortunate situation.
Well, so suffering from a sexual assault, that's one of the worst traumas that a human being could suffer. And so what Brie has done is she has taken the pain from that trauma and she has turned it into her purpose in life. And that's one of the elements of a great comeback story, is turning pain into purpose. So we're really excited for you to meet Brie. But first we're going to go to a commercial, and when we come back, we're going to introduce you to Brie Rogers.
I recently had a new client, and she suffered a mild traumatic brain injury. And she had no idea what had happened that caused her to be injured.
Gotcha.
But it turns out she had fallen into a pit at an oil change station. And it was 100% their fault.
Oh, wow.
But her injury made her not even understand.
Her injury, and it makes me so frustrated, because folks that suffer concussions or mild traumatic brain injuries, it's really difficult for them to know what happened and to understand the difference in what their life was and what it is now because of the nature of their condition. And so the insurance companies need to recognize the full value of that.
Instead of taking advantage of that very unique situation.
It took her family telling her, you need to call an attorney. Her family coming with her to the appointment to say, these are the differences, to get her in there, and now we're able to help her.
I love that.
Welcome back to Come Back Stronger, where we're about to introduce you to the comeback story of Ms. Brie Rogers. Stay tuned.
Hello, welcome, Brianna Rogers. I think you go by Brie. Yes, okay. We met at an event. It was Terrence Barber's Working Class Wednesdays event, and you were there with your booth, and you showed me a lot of your products, and I said, I would love for you to be on Come Back Stronger.
Yes, ma'am.
So thank you for joining us and making time to be here with us today. Tell us a little bit about yourself, how you got to Tallahassee, what brought you here, what you're passionate about, and then I want to hear about Brie Safe.
Alrighty. Well, like you said, my name is Brie. I now live in Tallahassee. I'm from the South Florida area. My business is Brie Safe. We specialize in self-defense accessories.
Yeah, and I want to get a little bit into that story, but I want to first talk about these exciting products. When I saw these, I couldn't believe it. I mean, this stuff is very just stuff you could just have in your purse. You could be having it in your car. You don't even know about it. Do you have some of the stuff with you?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, show us what you got.
Alrighty. So this is my first and most popular worldwide product. It's a Brie Safe keychain. Each and every keychain has pepper spray, a safety alert whistle on there. There's a chapstick holder, a puff ball, a bottle cap opener for those days that you're at the beach. There's a flashlight, and there's also a glass breaker. So if like you were to get into a car accident, or if your Uber driver would not allow you out of the vehicle, you can shatter out the window with the impact.
I got to tell you, I'm shook when I think of all the things that keychain could handle and all of the situations we could find ourselves in. Now, you know, my passion is women and girls, but it could be anybody. Anybody could be taken advantage of and exploited. But, you know, I don't think about what if someone abducts me or won't let me out of a vehicle. That just never occurred to me. And so the glass breaking, I wouldn't think about. Pepper spray, we all know we need to have that. Even, honestly, just animals, if you're walking, sometimes that's helpful. But you got to have your puff ball and your can opener, because it is a keychain. But tell me about a couple other products you have. You've got a special comb and this thing that looks like a pen.
So it literally looks like a pen, and it still writes and everything like a pen, but the back part of it pulls out to be a knife.
Okay.
So I mean, it's super duper sharp. It's undetectable, and I mean, it's like I keep one in my purse on me at all times. Unfortunately,
yeah.
I also have
that may be the one thing, because you can't overpower your attacker most of the time. That's why they pick you.
Exactly.
But if you can get something like that, that gets their attention, gets them off of you for a minute.
Exactly.
Tell me
and
about that.
My other product is going to be a comb knife. So it looks like a regular comb. It works like a regular comb as well, but it pulls out into a knife as well.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's super compact, it's light, nobody ever expects it, but at the same time, I know that I always feel safe and secure when I have my products with me, even just going to the grocery store.
Right. It's just kind of a little bit of extra confidence you have, that that you could probably get away from somebody. You don't want to get in that situation. You just want to get out of it. I think is what's going on most of the time. And I like that those are things that are items that are affordable, and they are things that we can carry around with us in a backpack or a purse. And so I just think that is such a genius idea, and I love it when women create companies and create jobs and stimulate the economy and really contribute. So I like that. But let's talk a minute about what your inspiration was for doing this.
Okay, absolutely. I've always been a bartender and a server in the Leon County area, so I'm used to getting off of work around 3 or 4 a.m. The one day that I did not have my boyfriend on me, who looks like a gigantic Viking, or the one day I didn't have my gun on me, was the day that I got sexually assaulted in broad daylight. And once that incident happened, instead of anybody in the restaurant helping me, they started to record it. Yeah.
This is happening.
Yes.
This is happening. The good news is we're getting videos of some things that would have otherwise probably never been addressed. The bad news is, what the heck are you doing on your phone instead of helping me? There's actually research behind that says whenever there's a large group around and someone's being victimized, you're much less safe. Someone is much less to help you than if it's you getting victimized and there's only one person on the street with you. They'll actually go put themselves in harm's way. So it's a real interesting psychology there. And I guess maybe all the videos and all the things we watch make us less sensitive to someone's victimization happening right in front of our faces. That's why it's so important to have these tools that you've created so you can protect yourself. So I really appreciate you sharing that story. As you know, when we talked, I have a real issue with that. I think we ought to spend more time training, it's usually men, not to aggress on people, not to take what they want, instead of teaching our children how to not get killed and how to not get raped and victimized. I think this brutality needs to stop. But you weren't happy enough to wait on that, were you?
No.
You said, I gotta take the bull by the horns. So I appreciate you doing that. But let's talk now about your business and how you promote it, because that's a hard thing to do. Most everything is still kind of male dominated, the means of production, the ways of getting out communication. So it's hard to be a woman starting a business. What turns your fervor and your motivation into a reality?
I never want anybody to feel like how I felt at that moment. In a room full of people, I was so alone. I know that for a fact, if I would have had my keychain on me, I could have at least pepper sprayed the gentleman. I could have blew a whistle.
You're kind.
Yeah. Oh, yes. I could have pepper sprayed him. I could have blew my whistle in his ear or something like that. And so it's like, because that situation happened to me, now I'm just like, I want everybody to feel as safe as I feel now.
Get their power back.
Yep, exactly. And so I definitely turn a negative into a positive. And because of that, I've been able to ship to 46 different states in the past 8 months and 6 different countries as well. And I now receive an outpour from women with different support and just hearing their stories or what have you. And it always just like, that's the flame that keeps keeps me going is to make sure that everybody's being safe.
Being safe with Brie Safe products. Well, when we get back in the second half, I want to talk more about that. I want to talk about what you do to help and encourage other women and how we can all be safe while we're growing our companies and reaching our potential.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Wow. So one big takeaway from that, Kimmy, is don't mess with Brie.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Did you see that knife?
Oh my goodness, that looks sharp.
Yes.
And it is no laughing matter. And the reality of it is, she has done something that really taken that pain and turned it into creativity that is now benefiting people internationally. She's now an international businesswoman selling her products.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, that's very fascinating.
I really like that the keychain has different levels, so I don't have to use a knife right away, right? I've got a whistle, I have the mace, I have the thing to get out of the car, and then she has more advanced products in case you need that too. That's really nice. And as a woman, you know, anytime I've gone anywhere my entire life, I've always been cognizant of my surroundings. If it's nighttime and I'm by myself, I'm probably running from place to place.
Yeah.
You know, and so having it all together in a keychain, that's awesome.
Yeah, it just makes you feel a little bit more secure, and it actually makes you able to fend off an attacker, which is the big thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
So what I loved about Brie is what she said. It really struck home with me. She said, "I never want anybody to feel how I felt at that moment."
Yeah.
That's what inspires her, and that's what inspires a lot of us. I remember, you know, my big challenge in life was I had gone to prison for 2.5 years before I became a lawyer, and during that time I felt completely powerless.
Yeah.
And I remember thinking, I don't ever want to have anybody else feel like I feel, and that has inspired me to start this Come Back Stronger show.
Yeah.
And so that's the beauty of these of the challenges that we suffer, is that they can help us turn that into something that helps other people.
Yep, be that fire that motivates you.
It's the fire that motivates you.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's absolutely fascinating. Well, we have a second segment of Brie Rogers' interview with Dana Brooks, and we're gonna bring that to you right after this commercial.
You know what's funny? When law firms advertise that they'll give a free consultation, every consultation we give is free, unless we can get you a settlement based on your injuries.
Right.
Every time you give me a call, it's free.
Yeah.
I want you to give me a call.
Yeah.
You know, we're not going to charge you unless we actually get you something for your case.
That's right. You don't have to pay me anything unless I win the case.
Right.
And on top of that, I'm going to pay for all of the court costs and the deposition costs and medical records costs and expert opinions costs. All of that's coming out of my pocket, and if we don't win the case, then we eat those costs at no charge to you.
Right. So we don't take a case we don't believe in because it's not in our interest.
Right.
And we don't minimize or devalue your case because that's also not in our interest.
Right.
So it makes everything fair.
If you have a lawyer on a contingency fee, you can hire the very best lawyer.
Welcome back to Come Back Stronger, where we've been talking to Brie Rogers, who has a fascinating comeback story about how she was sexually assaulted, and then she turned that event, that traumatic event, into a international business that is now thriving. So we're going to hear the second segment of that interview right now.
And we're back with Brie Safe.
Yes.
When we left, we were talking about how you started your company and the distribution. Tell me a little bit more about how this came from an idea to a product.
Oh yeah. So after I got sexually assaulted myself, I ended up I knew that I needed some pepper spray. I knew that I needed some other things. I ended up looking online, researching some public safety street legal devices, and I put them all together on my keychain. Because of the outpour from people literally all over the world, I started to expand my business. So at first it started out with just keychains that had pepper spray on them, to now tasers, undetectable knives. I even have tasers that are perfect for when you're jogging, because of the stories of human trafficking, because of all the stories of sexual assault.
Do you mind sharing some of those stories with us?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I had a lady in Germany. She told me that she started getting molested when she was 14 years old, from the age of 14 till 17, from her uncle. And because of the laws and restrictions from sending pepper spray and tasers, I wasn't wasn't able to send her one of my keychains, but because I do now offer other self-defense items, I was able to send her one of my comb knives and one of my pen knives as well. There was also an instance here in Tallahassee a few months back where this older gentleman, he was going around the different college bars in Tallahassee, and he ended up molesting 2 girls in front of their dorms at FSU. And the police arrested him, but ended up letting him go due to lack of evidence. So he ended up going to another college town. I was laying in my bed and I got a message from a girl in Gainesville at 2 o'clock in the morning with his picture, and she was crying because she saw what I posted about him in Tallahassee. I made it my business to contact the law enforcement agencies in Gainesville, and they ended up arresting him.
Oh, thank gosh.
So that he couldn't do it to somebody else.
Thank you for doing that. I mean, you say one person, just think what her life is going to be like not having to carry this around forever.
Oh, yeah.
You know, this is just such an unfair burden that is put on women primarily, but in your experience, you've heard from men too, haven't you?
Yes, ma'am. Yes,
Tell us
ma'am.
about that.
So 1 in 9 men get sexually assaulted in their lifetime.
Wow.
Right. And so I had a gentleman who talked to me. He was in a homeless shelter at the time in Atlanta, and he was part of the LGBTQ community, and he was molested multiple times. Yeah. He never really had protection on him. He couldn't afford a gun nor the license to go along with the gun either, but he ended up purchasing one of my tasers from me and one of my pen knives as well. Yeah. To protect himself in that environment.
What about any victims of human trafficking? Do you ever hear from them?
Absolutely. Another person from Atlanta, she sent me, it was in December, it was snowing in Atlanta. Her car was packed with snow on it, but she walked out to her car and she had a 1 and a letter F circled on her car. So she didn't know what that meant, but when she initially told me, she sent me the picture, and I dug up research about it. It was because she was being possibly she was being targeted for human trafficking.
Like one female?
Yep, it stands for one female.
That's just alarming.
Yes.
That's just alarming. And, you know, we were talking before, you know, people, these predators, they pick their victims. Mm-hmm. And they're not picking the ones walking around looking like they're very attentive, walking with purpose, like someone's expecting them, that sort of thing. What kinds of things do you recommend people do so they're not kind of standing out as a victim, so to speak?
Right. I always say use the buddy system, even if this means going to the bathroom with a friend. It sounds extreme, but it definitely can save your life. Do not go on scheduled jogs or walks, because a predator knows, guess
watch
what?
Your routine.
Every single day you will be at that park at 5 p.m. So they know that one day they have the opportunity to catch you off guard. Another thing that I always stress,
they had all that time to prepare because they knew what you were doing, and here you are just bebopping along.
Try to always be in a group setting when you go out with friends. Another thing is also, back to if you're working out, make sure that you take out at least one ear pod when you're working out, so that this way you can be aware of your surroundings.
Yeah, and again, I hate this.
Yes.
You know, to me, it's just a burden I didn't sign up for. How dare you have to take, you know, my time and my effort and me to be so consumed with making you not hurt me.
Yep.
You know, it just sounds like the solution should be don't hurt people.
Oh, yeah.
But we're not there yet, and we've got a long way to go. So I'm very appreciative that you are so mindful of this. You make yourself available to people who have had similar experiences or are struggling in the ways that you have. But tell us how we can get your products. Now, I know I ran into you at a booth at Working Class Wednesdays. I know that you're going to be at a ladies' luncheon at the Governor's Club next month, at a booth there, and that's a wonderful event that's going on. They're really supportive of the women's community. But where else can we find you? Where can people find you if they are in different countries, different states, different cities?
You can always find me on my website. It is www.briesafeboo.com, and that's BRISAFEBOO.com. Okay. You can always send me an email. My email address is briesafe2020@yahoo.com. I always reply back fast. You can also find me on Instagram. It's briesafe2020. And every weekend I'm always anywhere in South Georgia, Alabama, all over Florida. This weekend I will be here in Tallahassee. On Friday I will be on Game Street at the Optimum Salon Boutique grand opening.
Nice.
Then on Sunday, I have 2 events at the same time. I will be at Bird's Oyster Shack.
Oh, okay.
Yes. And I will also be in Southwood.
Okay.
And Southwood hosts the market for Tallahassee every 2nd and 4th Sunday.
That's wonderful. That's wonderful. As we wrap up today, I want to know, do you have any advice to give to men, women, anybody who sometimes feels vulnerable or maybe doesn't really realize that they're vulnerable? What advice would you give them?
Some advice that I would definitely give to people who want to make sure that they are being safe on a day-to-day basis is just to be aware of your surroundings. Do not let your guard down, because it can literally happen anywhere at any time of day. Most of the sexual assaults that happen on college campuses are from serial rapists.
Yeah.
So it's just like,
Who are usually opportunists.
Yep.
They really don't really put a bead on a particular person. They're just looking to see who they can get a hold of
Yes.
the easiest and the fastest. I just saw something online the other day about how sitting in your car and listening to music is a form of self-care. And I realized, oh good, I'm so glad I'm validated, because I do it all the time. But I think to myself, what privilege I have that I can do that in my driveway and feel completely assured nothing bad will happen to me. But so many times in this community, we've got all these college people, we've got a bunch of young people, or just people who maybe they live in apartment complexes or among a lot of people, and that's not really a good idea to sit in your car. You really need to get in your car and get on,
Right,
when you come from a store or a mall, because it's just one more signal to the world, I guess, that you're distracted and you're not paying attention. That the people I know who've been abducted, they've had people get in their cars.
Right, and like that's another thing is as soon as you get out of your car, say for instance you're about to go inside, pay for your gas. As soon as you get out of your car, make sure that you just click that lock button, because somebody can sneak into your back seat just like that and take over you. And it happens more than we expect it to, and more than we would like for it to happen.
Yeah. We've just got to be our own, best buddies and look out for ourselves and just not be oblivious to our surroundings, and just protect ourselves until we can get a society where this isn't a problem, or as much of one as it is. But thank you for everything you're doing to keep everybody safe.
Oh, absolutely. Hopefully in September, I will start teaching self-defense classes. So that is what I'm aiming for right now.
Oh, wonderful.
So it's literally just not keychains. It's a whole brand.
It's a lifestyle.
Yes, it's a whole lifestyle.
It's a put yourself first, protect yourself lifestyle.
Yes.
Keep your power.
Yes,
I love it.
Ma'am.
Thank you for being with us today.
Thank you, Miss Dana.
Wow, she's really taken her passion for empowering other people to a whole different level. What were your big takeaways?
Well, I think it was a really important conversation that Dana and Brie had, and it's a sobering reminder of that you don't want to live in fear, but you've got to recognize and be aware of your surroundings, because bad things like this can happen out of nowhere. I think it's a really important thing to talk to, especially with high school age kids and college students as well, to be careful, be aware of your surroundings when you're somewhere unfamiliar. I also think that this is just the beginning for Brie. I mean, I was really impressed with not only creating this business, but when people have been reaching out to her, she's going the extra mile.
Yes.
She's calling the police in Gainesville. Now she's starting self-defense classes. I think we're just seeing the beginning.
She is just getting started. She's just scratching the surface of what she's capable of.
Absolutely.
What an impressive person. So one of my big takeaways is of this whole story is this: if you see somebody getting victimized, do something.
Yeah.
Say something. Get somebody's attention. That they're a human being that's actually it's going to affect them the rest of their lives. So be a human being and help them out through the situation. That's one of the big things.
Yeah, and if you're not sure if somebody needs help, err on the side of helping.
Yeah,
right?
Err on the side of helping. So when you hear the story of her not just getting sexually assaulted, but getting sexually assaulted in front of an entire group of people, it is really disheartening.
Yeah.
And so if you don't think about it ahead of time, you might just be like a deer in the headlights.
Absolutely.
And so it has just opened my eyes to say, you know what, if I see something happening, I'm stepping in.
Yeah.
I'm gonna put on my brave self, and I'm gonna do something. So I appreciate Brie for that. So we are gonna go to another commercial break, and we will come back after that to wrap it up.
I went to lunch with one of my former clients the other day, and she's doing great. She took the money from her settlement and she started her own company buying and selling vehicles, which is really cool because she was in a car crash and then needed a new vehicle. And so now she's able to help other folks out.
Most of our clients, they find that one of the most frustrating things is the dealing with the vehicle.
Oh, well, losing your car can totally disrupt your life.
You can lose your livelihood over it. If you can't get to work, or you know, what's the worst thing with our clients is we're just trying to help them get well. But if they can't get to the health care that they need, you know, that's just another setback.
One of the typical things about a comeback story is you take the pain and the struggles and the challenges that you've been through, and you use that as the fire that kind of motivates you to do something good for other people.
Yeah.
And so I love that because now our client did exactly that, like literally to the T.
Welcome back to Come Back Stronger, where we just heard the story of Brie Rogers, who had been sexually assaulted and then took the pain from that traumatic event and turned it into the purpose of creating a business where she sells mace and knives and little things that are hidden in your purse or hidden on your body so that you can defend yourself against an attacker. It was such a fascinating story. Kimmy, what were some other takeaways that you got from Brie's story?
Oh, if you have an idea, if you have a passion project, go for it.
Yeah.
She had this idea for how do I make people safe? I'm going to do a business, and now she's international.
Yes.
What do you think about that?
Create a business. I think this is a fascinating thing, is that a lot of people think, well, owning a business, that's for other people. That's not for me. What I want you to know is anybody can create a business. If you are passionate about something, you believe in something like Brie, you can not only create a business, but you could be super successful at it. So I think that's one of the things that she exemplifies out of a comeback story.
And she's got a grassroots marketing effort. She's going to all the local places and
she's all over it, and for her, it's not work.
Yes.
Well, there's so much to say about Brie, but we are going to have to wrap it up. Thank you so much, everybody, and we look forward to seeing you on the next episode of Come Back Strong.
And you know what the insurance company offered him? $5,000.
Really?
He's completely blind, and they offer him $5,000. Ask him to sign a release.
To a lot of people, especially when they're hurting and when they're down and when they're vulnerable, $5,000 is a life-changing amount of money.
Yeah.
And they're not looking at the value of what has been lost. They're not looking at what it would take to make that person whole, which is our job.
Yeah.
That's our job. Their job isn't. Their job is to save the insurance company money.
Right.
And they look at this person and they go, I bet $5,000 would get your full attention. Right. And they come in and they dangle it with a settlement release, and then once you sign it, you're done. You can't come back to us and ask us to wave a magic wand and make that go away. That can't go away.
My client didn't accept the $5,000. We took him all the way to trial. We got a $5 million verdict.